Hey everybody, welcome to my video. I am going to be showing you in this video how to pull Wrath Council, at least my method for it. Um, so a couple things you're going to want. Number one, Aria of Innocence is a song from Legacy of Acacia. Uh, this song removes curse counters. Uh, Very important. The mobs will do a curse that you will get hit with, does damage. It's not horrible, but it's enough. It will add up, and that's what the distillates are for as well, to kind of recoup some of that health. Another thing you're going to want to be mindful of is your mana regen and how much mana you have going in. You're going to fade every single one of these mobs to clear aggro and make sure that you get separation and single pulls. So you're going to want to be mindful of that. Make sure you have good mana regen if you can. If not, you're going to want bards on backup to kind of substitute for you. Um, Make sure they're all familiar with the pull and know what they're doing. It's pretty easy. A lot of people get hung up on this. They freak out because it is 12 raid mobs that hit pretty hard in this era, and they will smash you if they get a hold of you. But don't let that get you too worked up because it's not as bad as it seems. They are CCable, so that helps. And which I'm going to get into right now. So you come up and you're going to want to start with a harmony of sound. Refer to my diagram. You'll see the M's for mesable and the U's for unmesable. Start with harmony of sound and pull them out. Once you get them down here, they'll get down to the flat. Now this is where you're going to want to start your mez. Go ahead and get the mez on them, get it locked down, fade immediately as soon as the mez lands. And then now you can see me just watching, waiting for them to walk back while the mez one is stuck. As soon as they're free of separation, I'll go ahead and break the mez, bring it to the group, and that's really all there is to it. And you see I just got hit with a curse. I'm going to take care of that in a sec, but as of right now, I'm just focused on where the mob's at. I want to make sure I don't bring him, I don't want to cut any corners here to make him run up on the temple or anything silly like that to re-aggro, because like I said, mana is your resource here. You're going to be using it a lot. You don't want to waste it. I kind of started the fight. I had just died prior to coming in here, so I had to start the fight at half mana, which I was a little nervous about. It ends up being okay, but for this purpose, it had me a little nervous. But uh, my bard is pretty well geared in this era. It's sitting on 25 mana regen, which is just too shy of the max for this era. Um, if you have less than that, it's going to cause problems. I remember when I was undergeared coming in here, I was not able to pull all 12. Uh, I would need backup, or I would take a death and get a divine res so I could get back in the fight. But like I said, just be mindful of what you got and keep working with it. You'll do fine. And that's really all there is to it. So just kind of a quick recap: harmony of sound. Run straight to the wall. Don't go one way or the other. They'll get hung up on the geometry, and that'll cause you a bunch of nightmares. Make sure you lead the mob straight back towards the wall. So yeah, harmony of sound. Mez when they're at the bottom. Fade immediately. Make sure these things have really large aggro range, so make sure when you do fade that you are far away. And obviously it goes without saying that silos will help with that. So anyway, yeah, mez down there at the bottom. You see I fade. Let the separation happen. You do not want to pull while that one's on the steps there. It will cause a problem. He'll re-aggro. Now they're up on the steps, out of line of sight. I'll come through, break mez, and then just lead it back to the group. And that's really all there is to it. If you get good at it, you know what you're doing, you can just kind of leave your group early and go ahead and start working on the next one and have it queued up, ready to go. Be mindful. Time is of the essence in this fight, so having something queued up, ready to go for your group is very beneficial, but at the same time, it poses a little bit of a risk because you can get shadow stepped, which is one more thing I hadn't mentioned. The shadow step is a big deal. It doesn't always hit, and in this encounter in particular, it never hit me. But basically, anybody on combat, I believe, can be the target of it. And if you get shadow stepped mid pull on the opposite side of the temple, it can be a real pain to try and create that separation you were working with. So just be mindful of it. If you do get shadow stepped, take a look and see where you're at. Try to refrain from changing targets, because remember, if you're following this diagram anyway, that target you originally picked is the one you know is measurable. So that's the one that's going to be easy to split. And that's really all there is to it. You just follow that for the next 5 mobs, 4 mobs, whatever's left. Just follow it for each of the measurables, rinse and repeat, and you're golden. And that's really all there is to it. I'm just going to let the video play from this point on, and I'll speed it up a little bit for you. But just to kind of see me work through, this will be the entire event in this video. I'm going to speed it up a little bit just so you don't have to watch the whole thing. But yeah, and then I'll come back and show you how I do the snarables. Alright guys, I'm back here. One of the first things you're going to notice me do, I'm going to be dropping Lullaby Morel for Largo's Assonant Strain. These mobs are no longer measurable, but they are still snarable. So, going to just basically do the exact same thing I've been doing with the mez, only I'm going to be using the snare instead. If you know anything about snaring and pulling mobs, when you snare a mob and then drop aggro while snared, the mob will not run. Much like the mez, only the mob is still alive rather than being in sleep mode, essentially. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time with this. I'm just going to quickly run over it, show you exactly how the snare works, which, like I said, is essentially the same. So start with harmony of sound, pull them straight back to the wall as before, get the snare on them. Once the snare lands, you want to get away and fade. Once the fade happens, let the separation create itself. Once that happens, come back, re-aggro the mob. And remember, this mob's live, so don't get close to it. It'll hit you. But yeah, just come back in, re-aggro the mob, bring it to the group. And again, same rules apply. Don't cut any corners here and drag it on top of the temple. When you're pulling, don't run any direction other than straight to the wall off the steps. So you're going to run either straight north or south, depending on which side you're pulling from. As you've seen in this video, I'll pull from both the north and south positions, just depending on which mobs I'm working with. I want the closest path for them to reach the wall, so I will reorient myself just to keep that going. But that's really all there is to it. Just snare, harmony sound, snare, fade, re-aggro, bring to the group. Like I said, it's almost exactly the same as the Mez version, um, and that's really it. You see me kiting here, and that's because I'm queuing this one up for the next. The group's actually still dealing with one of the Mezables. Um, so I'm just keeping this one busy, which I will do a lot. We ran into a little bit of a sticky situation a couple times in this, and I had to basically kite for longer than I would have liked. But it just happens. It's a tough event trying to get everybody coordinated. We had a lot of new people here that hadn't done it before, so it's always a learning event, um, and trying to teach people how to go about it and do it properly. It can be a challenge, to get that coordination. So you see me kiting here, and I'll do that quite a bit on these, just to have it ready. I don't want to bring it to the group, obviously, because they're not ready for it, and but I would like to have it on, on deck, ready to go. Now there is one danger to this. As I mentioned earlier, there's a shadow step, so I could have at any time been shadow step during this. If that happens, just make sure you get around to the other side, find your mob quick, get back on him, try not to lead them through, uh, and that's really it. Uh, it's not. This is the point where the group comes out of the cave, so I want to have it aggroed and ready to go. So that's why I'm doing that. I'm taking that risk. With the mez mobs, it's not nearly as much of a risk because the mobs will be mezzed. But beyond that, that's all there is to it. Just be mindful of the shadow step. Make sure you don't drag around any corners. Always run straight lines, which that's typical when you're pulling anything. You always want to try to run straight lines. Pathing is terrible in this game, so confusing them only makes it worse. Um, but that's really all there is to it, and I hope this video helps out. And like I said, I'm gonna speed up the rest of this video just to let you see the entire event. It is kind of a long video. I apologize, and I've been a little bit long-winded, but hopefully I've been thorough enough and made it a little easier to understand. Um, and yeah, thanks for watching.